Welcome back, boys. Our next lesson is 7.4, which is dividing algebraic fractions. So you did a review of multiplying and dividing basic fractions, and the one thing you had to remember when you divided fractions is to flip the second one. So as long as you know how to do that and you know how to multiply fractions, you should be good to go. So let's go over the division rule. So here's your division rule, which again, this is something that you guys should have remembered, that whenever you divide by a fraction, you multiply by its reciprocal. So if you look at C over D, notice how I flipped it and it became D over C. So once you flip it, it becomes a multiplication problem and you get AD over BC. So there's only one thing you need to remember when you divide, and that is to flip the second fraction. So let's do some basic ones that you should already know how to do. So we have 5/8. We're going to flip. So it's 24/7. We change to a multiplication sign, and then we see if we can cross divide. So if you cross divide those, you can divide each of them by 8, and you get 1 and 3. Multiply across, and you get 15/7. Let's look at letter B. 15/16. Flip, so 36/5. Change to multiplication dot. Now we're going to have to reduce a lot here. So if we reduce 15 and 5, divide by 5, and you get 1 and you get 3. 16 and 36, we can divide by 2. Actually, no, we can divide by 4. So if we divide by 4, you get 4 and you get 9. Multiply straight across. 3 times 9 is 27, and 4 times 1 is 4. All right, so those were the basic ones. Now let's throw some letters at you. Okay, so let's rewrite the problem. So we're going to flip it, so it becomes 4 over xy. Still a multiplication dot now. We can group this all together by doing it the long way. So we have 4x over, now you have 2x, but then you have y times y, which makes y squared. So now I'm going to draw my dotted line. And if I reduce 4 over 2, you would divide by 2, and I would get 2 over 1. X over x would go away, and the y squared would stay on the bottom. And there's your answer. Let's look at letter B. 2p over 35q. Flip it, and you get 5q over 8p cubed. So let's actually cross divide here just a little bit. So let's do 2 and 8. If we do that, we can divide by 2, and you would get a 1 and a 4. 35 and 5, you could divide both of those by 5, and you get 7 and a 1. Now let's just multiply straight across. You're going to get a 1, then you have pq. The bottom, you're going to get 7 times 4 is 28, and that would be p cubed q. Now, dotted line. Okay, so the 1 over 28 is going to stay. P to the first over p cubed is p squared. Goes on the bottom because that's where the bigger exponent was. And looks like the q's would cancel out, leaving you with 1 over 28p squared. Okay, let's look at these next ones. 3n squared over 5m. We need to flip 20m to the 5th over 9n times. Let's go ahead and cross divide here just a little bit. So 3 and 9, divide those and you get 1 and 3. 5 and 20, divide by 5, you get 1, 4. Now let's multiply those blue numbers. So we get 4 over 3. We have m to the 5th n squared. Actually, I'm going to just rewrite this down here for you. And then the bottom would just be mn. So let's draw our dotted line. Okay, so the 4 and the 3 are staying. Now, m to the 5th over m, if you subtract those, you get m to the 4th on the top. Then you have n squared over n. If you subtract those, you just get n to the 1st. And there's your answer. Okay, now, letter D actually has something missing. You should know there's a missing 1 underneath there. So when we flip this, you need to remember that the 1 now would go on top. So we don't have to actually reduce here. We can multiply straight across. So 9 times 1 would be 9. And then we have a squared over 2 times 6 is 12. A, now you have b to the 1st makes it b squared. Draw your dotted lines. So it looks like we should divide the 9 and 12 by 3. So you would get 3 over 4. A squared over a to the 1st. Subtract those and you get a. And then this b squared would just go on the bottom because there is no other b on the top. So if you notice, all you have to do is remember to flip, and then it becomes a regular multiplication problem. And just have a few more examples. We're going to try 3 examples, even though it looks like, well, actually, we don't even need to do this one. So let's just focus on this one. So if you notice, it's like 2 problems in one. So you have 3/8 times 2/4 divided by 1/4. Well, this part is what you're dividing by. So this is the only fraction that you need to flip. So 3/8 times 2/4 times, remember we're going to flip, so 4 over 1. Now we can actually do the problem. So if you look diagonally, 4 cancel, each become 1. The 8 and 2, we can divide both of those by 2 and get a 4 and get a 1. Let's multiply straight across and you get 3 over 4. Wow, that was extremely easy. All right, so we got one more left. This one will have some letters in it. So if you notice again, this is the one you're dividing by, so this is the one you flip. X over y squared times 2 over x squared, flip, y over x. Now let's just do this all together. So we have 2 xy over, while we have x cubed y squared. And technically there is a 1 right there. So let's do our dotted line. So you're still going to have 2 over 1. You have x to the 1st over x to the x cubed. So subtract those, you get this. And then y to the 1st over y squared, subtract them, and you're getting y. So your answer is 2 over x squared y. Okay, so the only thing, again, that you need to remember is to flip your second fraction, if there are only 2 fractions. All right, so get on Moodle and take care of this worksheet and make sure you show me your work. And I'll see you next time.